Here.
She's the devil.
I know, seriously, right? Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to Network Live TV, where we're going to talk about how to increase your networking efforts locally, nationally, or internationally, as well as discuss things that will help you up your game online. We are currently here weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. I think we're going to be changing that up, though, probably beginning next week. So just kind of stay tuned and look out for when we're around. But, of course, you can find our recordings on YouTube, and you can find the recordings of our interviews on networklivevirtually.com. I'm your host, Sabrina Watson, founder of networklivevirtually.com, where you can grow your business through creating live virtual relationships all over the globe. Our meetings and membership are totally free, so don't miss your chance to network and build relationships with amazing people. And I also want to let our audience know we are looking for people who are absolutely serious about building their brand and their businesses while establishing their authority and creating a larger circle of influence. The people we're looking for are going to have three main qualities. They're team players, self-motivated, and dependable. So if you feel like you have these qualities, please reach out to me and let's talk about the benefits of being a host with networklivevirtually.com. I want to thank my guests today for taking time out of their busy schedules to share their thoughts and their stories with you. I'm so lucky this morning. I have Caren Ewing and I have Miss Coach Caren. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
And we've been giggling before we started this recording. So we've got some things to giggle about apparently, and we're going to let you in on all of those. But first of all, I want to know, ladies, where are you both at? Where are you at and how's the weather?
I'm in Connecticut, and it's, going to be in the 50s today, so that's good. It's still March in the 50s.
Woohoo! I'm going to say woohoo for you because I'm here in Toronto, Canada, and it snowed last night. There's still snow on the ground, and it's cold.
So girls cry or anything. But I'm in mid to southern Florida, and my garden's been planted for a month, and my peas are this tall.
Yeah, but it makes your hair wonky.
I know, it makes my hair wonky. That's one of my hair pieces. It doesn't matter what you do to them, they don't go wonky, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, Caren, let me see here. I'm going to introduce Coach Caren first. Coach Caren, you've been on my blabs before, back in the day when they used to have a lot of people attend these things.
Yes, you used to have so much people at the top there. And
yeah, we've had so much fun.
Yes,
I don't know.
They're going to read. I'm sure a lot of us are talking about it. Maybe I should send them something in the help.
Yeah, send them something in the help. So I want to introduce you guys to Coach Caren Singh. We know her as Coach Caren. That's what we call her. She's a daughter, a wife, the mother of 3 wonderful children and 1 grandson. Congratulations. She's a money mindset coach who walks with her clients on their journey to help them tell their stories, help them tell new stories, the kind of stories that bulldoze down excuses and procrastination while promoting a happier, healthier way of life. Living in abundance is the only way to be, and that is mind work, and that is so true. So I asked her, why did she do it? She said, simply because I care. And I want everyone to know that if we allow our mind the chance to believe that secret dream, we can achieve anything. So expand on that for me a little bit, Coach Caren.
Mm-hmm. And, I was thinking about this morning, I was having my shower, and I said, one of the hardest things, 3 things. When we're thinking about money, because I'm going to go there first, when we're thinking about money, we're thinking about money, and I'm going to put myself in a position because I used to do it. We're thinking about the bills we got to pay. How much is coming in to cover those bills? How much is coming in to cover things your kids need? How much is coming in to do all the things that you do every single month? One of the things we don't do is dream about what's coming in to live our dreams, where we want to go, spend it on the fun things, because how dare us think about those sort of things? So the energy we're putting into bills. And I know for me initially, that's what was happening. So when the money come in, it's going out to pay bills. And then so where's the rest? But my focus was on, here is how much I need to pay X amount of bills. Me and my husband sat down, we realized this is the number we need for the home, and we are killing ourselves working towards that number. But that was the only number. So when we wanted to up our game, we were stuck in here's the number we need, and we might get a little bit extra when it's something to do for the kids. But nothing much was happening. And that was because of where our mind was, what we were thinking about consistently, daily. And it just keep adding up more bills would add on top of those bills. And that's where our focus was. So we can't do anything on the other areas of our lives. The same thing goes for when, we are thinking about, everybody talk about a grateful journal, for instance. And most people want to write in those journals, and they do, but they're half-heartedly writing in them. And I said, no, get two, because I want you to have the journal where you can write about the gratefulness, but I want you to get your dump journal where you dump it all the crap. Because when you go to write what you're grateful for, at the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, but this didn't happen today. Yeah, but I wish I could do this. Yeah, but yeah. And I still have to write I'm grateful.
Yeah, but
yeah. So in the mind, all this stuff is happening when really true. If you had your dump journal, you're like, I don't really like to get up in the morning. I'm not a morning person. Why not? So dump it out there. Get everything out so you can find the gratefulness that is really there that you want to talk about. And then you get to write it because you've dumped everything out. So now you can go do it.
So, Coach Caren, are you implying that I should get my two journals, set them side by side, and in my gratitude journal, I write, "Wow, dinner was great last night," and then right on the next line, I go, "Yeah, but that wilted spinach sucked last week."
If that's what you want to write in your dump journal, because there is just so much stuff that comes up. And for me, I like to be happy and in the moment. But when things bug me, I don't want to include it in there. And I had a client once, and she said, you want me to live on this positive side of life. But here is my story. And all she wants to do was tell her story. And what she's not realizing that she's living into this old story and she's retelling it to everybody. But every time she does, she gets more angry because really she's just staying in that old space. And I wanted to move her over to the new space, but she needed to finish that story. So she was telling it, but not necessarily to anybody, just in her head. So I'm like, get it out. Get it out, lighten you up. So same thing with the dump journal. You're dumping things out, because some of the people you might be dumping it is dead, so you can't reach them to tell them anything. So you need to get that out, right? And you want to really thrive and be either excellent in your business or be great in the job that you're showing up at, and not bringing all that moodiness into work. And if you're in your own office, which a lot of people get frustrated and is not they don't move fast. They're not being progressive for, because they're in the space where all these things are more cumbersome on their head. Okay. There is nobody there to tell it to. And on Facebook, if they're on Facebook, where we only want to see the positive, myself included, we don't want anybody really with sad stories. But if you find a way to dump things, then you can take that same sad story, help somebody, but tell it in a positive spin. But before you can do that, you still have to get rid of the crunk, because it's not going anywhere if you don't get rid of it. So I say own it, then get rid of it so you can get into your positive space.
Own it, then get rid of it so you can get into your positive space. I absolutely agree with that. And I've got a comment about Facebook I want to ask you, both of you ladies, about just in a minute, because I think you girls are going to have plenty to talk about. So let me introduce Caren. Caren Ewing is the founder of Emotional Freedom at Last, and she's been helping clients experience deep emotional healing, spiritual awakening, and profound personal transformation for over 20 years. Her passion is to support clients to release the emotional baggage caused by early childhood trauma, family dysfunction, loss, and abandonment, and to quiet the critical voices in their heads so that they can begin to live a life of authentic joy, presence, passion, purpose, and inner peace.
Yay.
Yay! She especially loves working with women in midlife to help them free up their creative energy and give birth to the unique expression of their soul's highest calling. And she brings a wide range of training and experience as a certified dream coach, emotional freedom technique practitioner, ordained minister of spiritual peacemaking. I never can say this word right. Reiki, like a rake, right? Reiki, master teacher, passion and purpose facilitator, psychotherapist, and energy healing practitioner. She's also the co-author of Incredible Life. She offers workshops and retreats and has been both host and guest on radio, podcasts, online teleclasses, and telesummits. And I know that you've got plenty more to tell us, but I just think that you two are going to be like, yay! You're going to have
and comments that I want to, talk about with what Caren said.
Go for it. Just go for it, Catherine.
I think I'm a I do a lot of law of attraction work, Caren, as I'm sure you do, right? That's mindset, right? All law of attraction, but energy, of course. And I think there's a misnomer with people that with law of attraction, you can only focus on the positive, right? And so when I do EFT with people, or, I do deep trauma work, and people say, well, I don't want to talk about, why are we talking about that? Law of attraction says what we focus on, what we put our energy on, that's what we create. And I'm like, well, we're actually just saying the truth.
Exactly.
So that we can clear it out of your energy system. You had some terminology around it. I get graphic with people. I say, look, you got to clean the out of your septic tank. Let's pump the septic tank because there's no room for anything else in there, and it's leaking out all over the place in your life, in your relationships, in your job, in your health, in your finances, right? In your mindset. All of that stuff is literally leaching out everywhere. So we have to clear it out first before we can really begin to focus on the positive and what it is that you want to create. I use the analogy, it's like painting over a moldy wall. If you've ever moved into a new house or whatever and you want to spruce the place up, you got to prep those walls first. If they're cracking or moldy or peeling, you can't just slap on a beautiful coat of paint over that, because before long, it's just all that other stuff is just gonna bleed through, right? This is the same with our energetic and emotional bodies. We have to do the work, both emotionally, be willing to dive deeply into these things that are very difficult and painful, and maybe that we've been consciously putting into the shadows, or subconsciously not even aware that they're there because they're so well hidden, but they're still alive in us, and it's what's driving our everyday behaviors. It's like that, what do you call that thing, an iceberg. The top of it, the conscious mind, is only this big, 3 to 5%. Everything else is what's under the surface, and that little piece is not dragging that big hunk of ice around, right?
Exactly.
It's that big honking thing under the surface, that's coming toward the Titanic, baby, and you're ready to have a major implosion, and some people do, right? A medical implosion or a relationship implosion or whatever it is that the universe, in its love for you, and your soul in its desire to expand, will keep presenting you these opportunities to do this work. And if you're not paying attention to the gentle knock on the door, right, then that gentle knock becomes a little more loud or insistent. And then the next thing you know, you trip over a coffee table and break your leg, and you're laid out for 6 weeks, and you can't do anything but your inner work. Or you develop an illness, or something happens to stop you, to get your attention, to say you need to be paying attention to what your soul, we call it mindset. I also call it soul set, what your soul is calling you to, which requires you to do this deep personal work.
So I have a question for both of you. Is social media dragging us down? They've done some studies on that. So,
well, I might have 2,000 friends on social media, but how many of them do I actually know and have an intimate personal relationship? Very few. I think technology is a beautiful thing, right? I think it's allowing us to reach global audiences. I think it's allowing information to be shared globally around important issues. There's technology that, it's bringing people together. However, when we allow it to replace real, personal, intimate relationships, when we would rather be doing this and be doing this, right? Having a conversation with someone, connecting in a real way, then I think that's the problematic side of it.
Well,
So true.
I'm going to let Coach Caren respond to that too, but I was actually really more referring to the negativity that's being posted on Facebook. They've actually done some studies on it. So that's why I'm asking the question. What do you think, Coach Caren?
I mean, it's just like, Catherine was saying, and people are sitting on their couch and they're on their phones versus having a conversation. I guess it's the same idea. What I find myself doing, because I purposely just allow myself, I'm very disciplined, but I purposely have allowed myself to just be on and just to ooze myself in to see how much time I was wasting. And I spent like a whole week on Facebook just guiding down, going into groups, moving around, to see what people were talking about. Why am I wasting so much time? And what really have them so drawn into it? And I see when people write their stories, when they talk about something, you tend to want to answer, especially if you have the answer. And so I was allowing myself to go through that motion. And what happened is, for me, at the end of that week, I was like, I can't believe this was a waste a whole week. This is what people do on a regular basis, and then come back next week and complain that they wasted a whole week.
Yes.
And I didn't like the feeling.
No, it's very disconnecting. But Sabrina, to get back to your question more specifically around the psychological effect, I personally don't engage in that. The people who I connect with, and I don't stay on Facebook a lot. I sort of get on, I do my business, and I get off. Right? But I can certainly speak on behalf of my clients, especially the ones who have anxiety issues or a tendency to depression and go down the rabbit hole, or maybe who are interacting with people who are a little more dysfunctional. So there's a lot of name calling and gossiping and bullying. Kids are being bullied on social media to the point of taking their own lives. This is a really serious issue, and I don't want to get too heavy here, but I think depending on who you're engaged with, what their general messages and stories are, how much drama is involved, I do think it can have a very negative impact in many ways. One that Caren said, which is that you end up, the longer you're on there being connected, the more disconnected you actually feel. And then if the stuff that you're involved in is sort of gossipy or negative, or life sucks and then you die kind of stories, all that stuff, it literally brings your vibration down. We're talking about mindset. It's all vibration. So the longer you're on there in that kind of energy, your energetic vibration is in training or attuning, if you will, to those lower vibrations of guilt and blame and ickiness. And yeah, it can have a very negative psychological, emotional, and energetic impact.
Yep. I don't want to get too far into getting stuff down, or, getting down or on a down topic. I just thought that was interesting because I had read it later and I wanted to kind of get your take on it, because you two are, you are the mind people. So, that's where you got to go to get your answers, is from the pros like you guys for that kind of stuff. So what I want to ask you now, though, Catherine and Coach Caren, I want our readers or our listeners to get an opportunity just to get to know you. We want to know a little bit about you. Catherine, tell us about your family. Who are you and who is your family?
So there's my birth family, which was a large Irish Catholic. Can you tell?
That little red hair going on there.
And all that going on. Yeah, so I come from a large Irish Catholic family. I actually grew up with 6 brothers and 1 sister. And both of my parents actually passed away when I was fairly young. My mom passed in my final week of college. And my dad when I was just about to give birth to my first child. So neither of my parents got to see my children, which is, always one of those places in my heart, where there's always a little bit of, I can't say regret because it's not something that anyone did, but, a loss or sadness. And for a while, my grandmother and aunt lived with us. So there were 12 of us in the household. So it was a pretty busy household.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when my mom passed, it was sort of like the hub blew out of the wheel, and people started to scattered. So I'm the 7th of 8, actually. So my sister's the oldest, and then the 5 brothers, and then me, and then a younger brother. So I was that long-awaited second girl after all those boys. Now my family now, I am divorced. I have 3 adult children in their 20s. My oldest son is 29, and he is the father of an incredible, soon to be 11-month-old, already walking, I must say. Watch out, world! Here comes Benjamin, beautiful little boy, just an old soul. You can see it in his eyes. Benjamin's mom is Courtney, and they're doing well. And I have another son, Dylan, who lives with his dad just a couple of miles from me. Great guy, and works in insurance in Hartford, even though his training was as a biomedical engineer. I think he's gonna move back toward that, more working with people and hands-on stuff. And then my daughter Julia is just turned 23. She lives in Washington, D.C. She's in the process of applying to law school. And I know she won't listen to this, so I can brag on her a little bit. Julia, if you listen to this, I know you don't like me sharing this stuff. She just got a full ride to Northeastern University Law School.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Where she's going to go to, because she'd love to stay in DC. So she's waiting. She got accepted at American University and GW, which is her alma mater, and now she's waiting for Georgetown to say yes. And I think if that happens, that'll seal the deal. So yeah, beautiful children, very, very blessed. We've all had our issues, our challenges. Raising my son Ian has given me every gray hair, I have to admit. They're all gray. They're all gray. And I do mine red, but not quite as red as Coach Caren. But this is sort of my natural color anyway. And all of the joys and all of the challenges of raising kids, and living through what they put you through. And
oh yeah,
thank God I love you so much, because if I didn't, I might have had to kill you a few times.
Yeah.
So, Coach Caren, it's your turn. We want to hear all about your family. So clearly you're Irish too. You've got red hair.
Yeah, clearly. She's that black Irish.
Oh my! I came from actually in my life just girls. My mom had 6 girls.
Wow. And
2 died pretty young. So I have 3 sisters, and on my dad's side, I do have a sister in England. And I myself have 2 boys and a girl. My eldest is 31, Paul, and Petra is 22, and I got a teen that's going to be 16 next month. And my grandson, Maximus, and he's 3 years old. The kids are still finding their way. I used to say unfortunately, and I said fortunately, because they're still debating what they want to do. My daughter is a great artist, but she can't see herself as an artist. She went to art school, but she's on the train where artists make no money. So I can't do that. So I'll do every other job on the face of the earth, and I'll quit and then get new jobs. So she's on this journey that she's going to have to figure out. And so is my eldest son. So the teenager is doing pretty well. And he said he's not following their course. So we'll see. But
some of us are 60 and still trying to figure out who we want to be when we grow up.
I was just actually going to say that, Catherine.
Yay! I'll give you props for that.
So I just, I went through the stage where I stressed myself out, and I said, you should be doing this. You were in school. Why did you leave? Why didn't go on to this program? And I said, okay, you're on your journey. I'll let you figure it out. And so I live here with my husband and the kids, and because the big boy moved back home because he's searching, and my mom also lived with us. So that's my story, and that's where you're at the moment.
Well, I got to tell you, ladies, when you talk about having large families live together at one time, way back when, that's really the way our world was. Big families lived together, they worked together, they played together, they loved together, they laughed together, they cried together. And I almost feel that it's sad that we don't have that anymore in a lot of ways. But I had my mother and her husband, my stepfather, for 5 years. I just lost my mother to cancer. And I also have my 97, she will be 98 on June 22nd, year old mother-in-law lives with us. So all my adult children are grown and gone, but I have taken in the parents on both sides.
Well, truly that sandwich generation, as you say that, and, blessings on the passing of your mom, the loss of your mom. I would never have certainly asked to have lost my parents young, 22 when my mom passed, 30 when my dad passed. Feeling sort of like, who the hell in the world has my back now? Like really that sense of being, a midlife orphan. Mm-hmm. But hearing you talk now, Sabrina, and seeing so many of my friends and clients at our age, if you will, really doing that, caring for their aging elderly parents or perhaps beloved aunts or uncles, and really having this part of their lives so taken up now with the care of an elderly parent or relative, and those really difficult decisions about, do I care for them at home because I made the promise that I would, I'd never keep them, or do I recognize that it really is time for them to be in a different kind of living situation, because either it's not safe or it's just too much for me, to be doing 24/7 care or whatever. So as I said, I would never have, wanted to lose my parents early, but there's a part of me that is deeply grateful.
Right. I was going to say a little bit grateful.
For not having that worry, burden, not that you call it a burden, but
but some days it is.
It's really,
because again, you see why the dumb journey, because there's things that really is true, but it's hard for us to speak up about because we don't want others to hear we say that. But it really takes time, and it takes away time from certain things to get those other things done. That's just the way it is.
And again, it's speaking the truth, and I've worked with clients with EFT around this. Even though I feel so guilty thinking of my mother as a burden, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. It's true, and I accept myself and my feelings.
Yes.
And when we can just speak that, it lifts some of that burden, because you referred, Caren, to being in a workplace where things are cumbersome and there's so many people and all their energy, and it's the same thing when we're holding all of those emotions that we feel like we can't express because we would seem ungrateful or mean or, whatever words we might ascribe to that. All of that energy just sits on us in our energy field, and it lowers our own energy, our own enthusiasm, our own, beingness, if you will.
Ladies, I'm going to take a quick commercial break here. And then I got...
Now she finally shut up.
No. And then I want to ask you how you both, what brought you in to where you're at in the professions that you're in, because I personally find them very fascinating. So I just want to remind our audience, welcome, Daryl. Let's see, we've got Abby. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. I just wanted to remind you that our show here is about networking live virtually with folks that you can meet from all over the globe, in all businesses, in all entrepreneurial levels, that you can actually meet, get to know, and reach out to. You can reach out to them for various reasons. Maybe you would like to do business with them, create a referral relationship or an affiliate relationship, or you never know, you might just become friends with somebody cool. So be sure to join us. Well, right now we're weekdays, but I think we're going to change that next week. But you, of course, can always find our replays on networklivevirtually.com. You'll see the link. It's right there on the front page to replays, to meet super cool people just like Catherine and Coach Caren. We do have live networking meetings that we use holding Zoom. There's 4 a week, and we have another one coming real soon, various days and times. So we are live with audio and video. You actually get to meet the people in the room and exchange contact information with them. So we hope you will consider joining us. So I'm talking to Catherine and Coach Caren about what they do and who they are, so you get an opportunity to really know who they are. Now I want to know, ladies, what drove you to do what you're doing? Why? Give me the why.
Oh, I've got so much answers to the why, but
That's why I did it, because I figured if I started, you'd never get a chance to.
So much answers to the why, and I decided to do a 90-day video, and because I started doing it, I'm on my 25th day or something like that. And because I started doing it, I started bringing up a whole bunch of things that I probably just parked in some part of my memory and not even think of it. And so unknowns to me, I was going to be a coach regardless, because I've been doing it for so long. A, without pay initially, and B, not even realizing what I was doing. These videos have allowed me to go back in time and see how long I've been doing this. Not as a profession, it might seem like helping out or what have you, but when people come back to you with results from what you have helped them with, you started to realize and you started to see where this journey was taking you for a long, long, long time. So I've had several businesses over time. And in all of those businesses along the way, I've also been helping people, whether it was to start their own business, help them to see a better themselves in their workplace, or to bring money into their business. And so I have a cleaning company at the moment still, and I was on this journey trying to figure out what's next. I've employed people, I've done this, I've exited businesses, I've sold businesses. What was my next place? Where would I be next? What would I do with myself and enjoy tremendously? And when I got the first answer, I was like, no way. And it keep showing its face up over and over. And just as Katharina was saying, you get a gentle touch on your shoulder. That's how I like to look at it. And then a couple of times you get pushed and you might even stump your toe. And then it's like straight on into the face like this. This is
where you're supposed to be.
Wake up, girl.
And I start putting it into motion. And of course, once I give into what I was supposed to do, the blocks just start building on top of each other and just positioning itself. And of course, once I was there and I saw things start adding up, I just went into this mood where I was just shut myself down, denying everything, and said, there's no way. This is not what I'm supposed to do. I can't do it. Mm-hmm. I can't do it. I refuse to do it. This is not where I'm supposed to be. And when you do that, it just strips you of everything else that you want to do, because that's not what you're supposed to do. And it's not pretty. It is not pretty.
Even that's a tough road, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it pushes and it strips you down, and you're there saying, I know I'm supposed to do it, but I don't want to do it because it makes no sense. A, I can't make money from it. B, who will listen to me? And I went through the whole, I think it's over a year. I just put myself through so much agony. And I was working with a coach, and she said to me, one day she sent me an email and said, why are you fighting this so much? Like, what? And I said to her, what am I fighting? And she's like, you know what I mean?
I'm not fighting.
She's like, yes, you are. I'm like, no. And of course, I stopped answering her emails. And she's like, our time is not done. So,
Really? She reached out and said that?
Yes, she reached out and said, our time is not done. We both will know when it's done. You're in this space, so you know what you need to do, and you can just have to buck her up and get it done. And I stopped, having my session with her for a whole month. I kind of just parked her because it was so in my face. Mm-hmm. And I was fighting myself that I am not going to do this because I've got a cleaning company, and I help people, yes, but that's not what I'm supposed to do. So, and I don't want to take on anybody's burden, and I don't want to, tell people what they have to do, because who's going to listen to me, and who am I, and the whole dreary story. Mm-hmm. And and of course, I was sent a client. I mean, there's not a way to put it. I was sent a client, and she came, and within a week, after I didn't call it coaching, I said mentoring with me. She's like, Caren, I opened my business. I've got 5 clients. And I said, well, you did that. She goes, of course I did that. I understand that. But I had this idea for a year, and I never opened the business. I was at a job, and I still have the job, but I have let me tell you what I did within that week. I registered a business. I gained 5 clients. I hired somebody to help me do the work. And I've gotten business. And I've been sitting on this for a year. And so I called my coach up, and I said to her, I just mentor a client, and she's seen success in it. Okay.
How about you, Miss Catherine? How did you get where you're at? What brought you there?
How many lifetimes back would you like me?
Yeah,
for this lifetime, because I know we're on a little bit of a time crunch here. So no, but honestly, when I was 6 years old, I got really pissed off because somebody told me I couldn't be a priest.
Yes. Oh, well, don't get me started down that road.
My numbnuts brothers. Mm-hmm. And I thought that all little Catholic girls had this happen, but I used to dream about protecting the church and the hosts when the marauders would come to pillage the church. I just thought that's what Catholic girls dreamed about. So very early on in me, there was some kind of calling of a spiritual nature, which, then sort of goes underground. My sister actually was a nun. My mother never got the Catholic priest son that she wanted, but she had a daughter who was a nun. My sister has since left the convent, and me, who became an ordained minister at age, 50. So, and in the meantime, my journey has always been around supporting and empowering women. So starting at 18, I was volunteering in a residential facility for girls. I was one of the first women in the 70s to get a degree. It was a minor then in women's issues and women's studies, along with my, sociology and psychology degrees. And then when I got a master's degree in social work, I also had a specialization in women's issues. So I have always, my heart has always been drawn to supporting women, to find their internal resources, to find the resources in their community, and to find the resources in their connection to spirit, right? So those are the different levels for me. And I've done that in a lot of different ways. In my younger years, probably well into my 40s, I was very active on a grassroots level. I did a lot of social and political work. I worked in domestic violence, sexual assault counseling, rape crisis counseling. I coordinated the sexual abuse unit of the Child Protective Services Agency here in Hartford. I saw down and dirty side of life. And that I went through infertility. So while I'm working with these families with all this child abuse, I'm unable to have my own children, saying, all right, God, what's the deal here? Right? Yeah. What is the deal here? And so, went through a lot of wondering, what is the deal here? Eventually, thank you, God, had 3 beautiful children, and had some maternity leave in there. And when the time my daughter, I was about to return to work, I was working then as a school social worker, and I was getting this message to go into private practice. And I was like, I never thought about private practice. I didn't take one clinical class while I was in graduate school because, I don't know, maybe the influence of Woody Allen. I thought psychotherapy was just for rich, people to sit around contemplating their navels. I didn't really see. the benefit of it for like real people. I wanted to be doing that really grassroots social work. But something called me, and I eventually went to a private practice where I knew one of the women when we were doing child protective work together. And I went into that practice, and a number of things happened. One is I very quickly realized that I did not like talk therapy. I knew that all along because I felt like I really wasn't helping people. Like we were talking, but the deep healing was really not happening. I was frustrated. I was going home with a headache every day thinking, how the hell do people do this? If I have to do this for the rest of my life, I'm gonna lose my mind.
The commercial with the purple dust, right?
Yeah. That's exactly what I did. I lost my mind because I went down a more spiritual path, and I became more committed to meditation and journaling and yoga, and I all of a sudden was reading every spiritual and metaphysical book I could get my hands on, and I became a Reiki practitioner and then a Reiki master and then trained in 7 or 8 other energy healing modalities, all, on one level looking like I was trying to find ways to work with my clients, but I also understand it was me being moved on my own journey of deepening out of my head into my heart, right?
Yes.
Because I was very analytical, I was very, up here. And then I became, during that process, drawn to do my ministry work. And, that was another one of those synchronistic things. I was literally on the computer one day trying to find a doctoral program to go into because I had this, what I call it now, divine discontent. Like I just felt like something else, was up for me. And I was trying to figure out what that was. I got off my Google search. I went to my emails, and there was an email from a guy named James Twineman. And he had just come back from Bosnia where he had done a peace concert. He was a peace troubadour. And he wrote this email. He'd been guided by spirit to start a seminary. It was based on the work of St. Francis of Assisi. I'd been carrying the prayer of St. Francis around with me since I was 12 years old. The emergence of the divine feminine energy on the planet to balance the masculine and feminine, and sort of manifestation law of attraction work. As I was reading his email, my entire body was vibrating, and I had tears pouring down my face. And I said, oh, maybe this is the program I'm supposed to do. So I did a 2-year program in spiritual peacemaking, and it completely flipped me around because I'd always been an activist, fighting against, pushing against, this is wrong, we got to do this. And when you do 2 years of inner work around being a spiritual peacemaker, you realize that all that pushing against is only giving more energy to that which you don't want. So it was a turn inward to how do I become peace internally? How do I nurture my own sense and energy of peace so then that begins to vibrate into the world? And so this has been this whole process of, if you look at my journey, it looks like I've been all over the place. But for me, it's been all picking up like a scavenger hunt, all these pieces along the way that are now integrating into work. You read my bio, Sabrina, which and my website is Emotional Freedom at Last. And that is true for about another couple of weeks because I'm rebranding into Sacred Heart Alchemy will be my new practice. And it is this merging of the divine masculine and the divine feminine energy on the planet, which I am calling the divine feminist, because for me, it takes feminism, the old feminism, into a higher form, a more spiritual form, where we're no longer fighting against. We're still holding the awareness of what's not working in our world, but we're coming into that from the more feminine energy of collaboration, cooperation, nurturing, intuition, right? Holding the village, right? Supporting each other. We were talking about family, support, all of that to allow both men and women to come into more of a balance of what I call their Christ selves, their Christ consciousness, which for me is all about creating heaven on earth. So there's all these different levels. There's the big mission of creating heaven on earth. There's kind of the in-between of balancing this masculine and feminine energy, but there's the individual work of each of us doing that internally within ourselves. And then we begin to anchor it on the planet. And then it comes into the collective consciousness. And then we anchor this beautiful energy. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Wow, that's a story.
And along the way, I have to say, it's not always easy. No. In the period between 50 and 52, I made the very difficult decision to leave my 30-year marriage, to leave my children with their father. I left all of my paid employment because I was the coordinator of the governor's task force on justice for abused children, and I was doing psychotherapy. I left both of those jobs. I left my 2,500 square foot house in the suburbs with nothing but a twin bed and a dresser and my clothing, and moved into a 200 square foot studio room in the basement of someone's house with 2 gay men, 4 dogs, and 3 cats living above me. I opened the Holistic Healing Center, and I literally reimagined my life at 52 years old.
Wow.
And I have been paddling fast and praying hard ever since. Yes. Literally, I walked like my life as I knew it at 52, completely gone. Yes. And for a while, my relationships with my kids was difficult. And I completely understand that. My relationship with myself was difficult because of the decisions that I made, and having to come to peace and forgiveness and compassion with myself for having made those decisions and gone back on the commitment that I had made 30 years before, until death do us part. Sometimes it doesn't mean physical death. Sometimes it means a different kind of death.
Yes.
And so I'm happy to say, the kid's dad and I still have a good relationship. We spend all our holidays together.
Good.
So all of that is wonderful. But I've gone through a lot of iterations, and I know what it means to rebirth yourself in life.
Yes.
I walk my talk, and I know that's part of my spiritual journey. I cannot ask clients to do what I have not been willing to do myself. Maybe not exact same details.
Exactly.
Courage, faith, right?
Yes.
Vision. If I'm not willing to step into that, I can't ask them. And right now I'm in transition again. I have a beautiful office, which I have just made the decision to let go of, because I feel spirit calling me into something bigger in the world, where I am no longer supposed to be confined by the walls of the office, no matter how beautiful they are. And they are. Everybody who comes in, oh my God, this is so beautiful, the energy in here. Could I just hang out here all day? And I could. But I'm being called into the world in a different way. So thank you for this opportunity, because, these platforms are a way for me to reach more people and share this message. And, to be a mentor and a facilitator and a coach and a teacher and a speaker and all of those things. I do teach other social workers how to use energy and emotional freedom technique in their work with clients. So I have a lot of different aspects to what I do, but it's all about leaning in, listening to what your soul is inviting you to step into next, letting go of the stories from the past that hold you back. I talk about emotional archaeology, like lovingly digging up and brushing off all those old broken pieces, right? Looking at the story and saying, is that true? Is my interpretation of that story true? Did that really mean that about me? No. It was just an opportunity to grow through something else. And now we take all of those broken pieces and put them back together in a beautiful mosaic or tapestry, beautiful, colorful story of your life that now has a completely different meaning when you understand it from a soul or an energetic place.
Yes. Because I wrote here as you speak, and I said, isn't it funny that when we help people, we are really helping ourselves?
Always.
Yes. I just love the opportunity to get to talk to women who are about helping others. I mean, for me, that's super exciting, you guys, and I really appreciate you being here. We're going to get low on time a little bit here, so I want to give you guys the opportunity to talk about products and services you offer and maybe your ideal clients, or so kind of run through that for us, Coach Caren. What are the products and services you offer? Who is the best fit for you, and how can they find you?
Okay. The product and services that I offer is I offer coaching, obviously for the mind and the money. And my ideal client, funny thing is, I figured this out a while back. I've had different types of clients. And my ideal client is the woman that I used to be.
Wow.
That's the woman that I help. Really. You know, the woman. Yeah. And the minute I recognized that, people who had approached me, I sent them to somebody else because those are not people that I can help. Or they're not ready yet for me. Let me say it that way too, because sometimes that's what's happening. They're not there yet with themselves to admit, because I'm going to really pull you inside out. I'm going to tug you, I'm going to move you all around. And if you're not willing and open yet for that, then you're not ready yet for me. Mm-hmm. And so I help you, as I said clearly, really, there's no excuse that you can give me that I can't tell you how to get out of it. Very rarely I speak on this, but I grew up living in, we call it subletting, but really in a kitchen. Like, that's where we were living, in somebody's kitchen, not above them. We had no basement. I grew up in Guyana, and we were living in somebody's kitchen. So they have to pass in the kitchen to get to their stove, and that's where our bed was. And and when you're in a space like that, and as a child, it is hard to get your mind to see that there's more than just that tiny space. Mm-hmm. And so when I speak on mind work, I didn't know that what it was I was doing with myself, but I deeply just focused on what is coming next and not the space I was in. And so I really, truly help people not to see what's only in front of them, but where they want to go.
And Coach Caren, do you do that only in person, or do you do that on a virtual level as well? Can people work with you virtually?
Yes, I do this online now. I get started out just in person, and I do it online. So they meet with me for a 20 minutes free session, and they have to fill out an application before that, because I want to see that, you're really a fit.
Do you have a link that you can share with us for folks
Yes.
that would be interested in that 20-minute session? And Miss Catherine, talk to me a little bit about products and services you offer. Who's your ideal client? How can they find you? And how do you offer your services? It's virtual now, right?
Coach Caren just said, my ideal clients were me. Maybe the last 20 years. I really, really, really love working with women in midlife. Mm-hmm. But, my clients sometimes are in their 20s and sometimes in their 70s.
True.
It's really more important than the chronological age is sort of where they are in terms of their own, I call it awakening process, their own desire, willingness to pay attention to that, what may be anxiety, but I call divine discontent, and really willing to do the work, to dive in. Because I've worked with trauma and abuse and abandonment for so many years, many, many, many of my clients have spent years, 20, 25 years in and out of therapy, hypnosis, maybe energy healing, all kinds of things, or maybe even hospitalization or medication, and maybe have felt some relief at somewhere along the way, but are still not being in the world, living a life the way that they want to. Maybe they're still struggling with that critical voice in their head and they can't seem to turn the dial down on it. Maybe their relationships are not working. Maybe they're not where they want to be at financially. Maybe that I'm not enough feeling, they've just had it with that. Like, I just want to get over this feeling, this belief that I'm not enough. And so that's really who my ideal client is. I work with people I'm still working with people in person locally, but I also work globally, so I can work with you over Skype or Zoom, whatever, you want to do, or even phone. Some people still like the phone. I like the face-to-face. If I can't reach out and touch you,
it's like this.
Reach out and so I do have clients, from all over the world, actually. And because I love the in-person, as I said, I do teach. I love speaking. I love opportunities to come into a community, a congregation, a women's group, even a business group to talk about how these old patterns and programs are still getting in your way. How your inner child may actually be running your business when you don't know it. You're sitting in that big chair, but no, little Ruthie there dangling her legs is in your chair. So really looking at that. I do retreats, day-long retreats, weekend retreats, and now that the universe is kicking me out of my office, I will be focusing on really getting out there. So any opportunities to speak either virtually or in person would be awesome. I do on Monday nights, I've been running tap-aware parties. Oh, get it, tap-aware. And it's EFT online, so Monday nights for a half hour, pop in and we'll blast through some of your blocks, and that's on Zoom. It's on Facebook. You can look me up and find my events. And I am right now creating a 22-day, I don't like to use the word challenge, gateway to your greatest self, and it is really sort of a funneling down of my many, more than 22 years of growing, learning, where I will be sharing with the people who join this 22-day process the 7 things that I have found over the years to be the most helpful, life-changing, spiritually awakening processes. So trust me, I've read every book, I've gone to every podcast, but I've had every attunement, activation, past life regression, anything you've ever wanted, I've done it. And I can save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of energy by sharing with you the things that I have found to be the most helpful for myself and my clients. So right now it's, I'll put up the Emotional Freedom at Last.
Yes, please put your link in there, Ms. Catherine. I want to, of course, thank my guests for being here today, Catherine Ewing and Coach Caren. It's so amazing to have you guys, and it's so nice, like I said, to just be able to talk to women who are helping others. And I want to remind everybody that I'm your host, Sabrina Watson, founder of NetworkLiveVirtually.com. I'm going to put a link in the chat for you where you can join virtual networking absolutely for free. There is a $1.49 registration fee just to keep the bots out, the bots that are running around the internet, registering and making your website crazy. That does include our private Facebook group, along with other benefits, including replays of our meetings, access to amazing people globally. We have members in over a dozen countries now. And I want to remind everybody that we are still looking for people who are absolutely serious about building their brand and their businesses while establishing their authority and creating a larger circle of influence to join us as hosts. That is an approval process because we need people that really have the ability to motivate and create and generate their own tribe. So you really need to have 3 main qualities. You're a team player, self-motivated, and dependable. So if that interests you, running a virtual networking group with the support of the rest of our almost 600 registered members in about a dozen countries to meet people and run virtual networking meetings, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, I want to say thanks so much to my guests, Catherine Ewing and Coach Caren. I just love you girls. Here is the link. I just put it in the chat box. Please, ladies, I want to invite you. Please join as well and join our private Facebook group, which is really pretty heavy-duty international entrepreneurs. So it's a great place to network. There aren't any rules in our private Facebook group. It's unmoderated. So you go connect and network.
Woo-hoo.
That's what it's about.
No rules. I like that.
No rules. Okay? No rules.
There.
You can just simply reach out and network with whoever strikes your fancy there. And it has proven to be amazing. We have collaborations happening between the UK and the United States and Honduras and Puerto Rico, and just collaborations all over the place. So feel free to go there, you guys, and join and network with us. We are past our time, ladies. So I want to thank you so much. And I am going to reach out and chat with you some more later, but it's not going to be today. I want to stop our recording.
Okay.
Thanks
for having me.
Thank you so
Nice
much.
meeting you, Catherine. Bye-bye.
Bye.